I thought I knew what a smooth motorcycle felt like, but apparently I was mistaken. Alright, so this is the new Goldwing 2019. See some features on it here. We're going to take it for a ride. This is the DCT model, which is pretty cool. We'll have to check her out. So right away it's got a pretty low seat height and easily can flat foot it. It feels a little bit low. These are big heavy bikes, but it really doesn't feel too terrible. Pretty easy to keep upright. Lots of features on these things. As you can see, this thing is just full of buttons. And these are cleaned up a lot from the old ones too. We're going to run it out on the freeway a little bit, so we'll probably get to test a few things with it, but I'm most interested to see how it freeway rides. Whoa, this dual clutch transmission thing is really slick. Man, what a nice shifting sequence. As much as you'd like to think you want to manually shift your motorcycle, this one just does a lot better job. Pretty interesting riding an automatic. The dual clutch transmission, or DCT as they call it, is an automatic transmission. And if you look at my right hand there, right next to the throttle, what you see is basically a switch, and it's just drive, neutral, or reverse. Once it's in drive, the bike selects whatever gear you should be in, and boy, you talk about being in the right gear at the right time all the time. This thing does it. Pretty amazing. My very next impression is smooth. Gee whiz. This thing is incredible. If you look at the top of that, right next to the center console there, above the handlebar riser, you see just a black knob there, and that, as I ride, you'll see that thing moving sometimes quite frequently. What it is part of the cantilever suspension of the front end of this bike, and it is incredible. I've ridden a lot of the competitors' bikes. I've even owned a few of them, and let me tell you, there's just nothing like this thing. A little bit hard to not reach for that clutch lever, but well, it's just something you guys got to get over. It just corners like a much smaller motorcycle. Supposedly the dry weight is 850 pounds, but it just doesn't even feel anywhere near that kind of weight. Kudos to Honda for redoing this thing. What a nice machine. I guess we'd rather not be behind these diesels, but what are you going to do? Just run through a couple of the specs with the Goldwing DCT. It's an 1800cc horizontally opposed 6-cylinder. Yeah, it is throttled by wire. They call it TBW. As I just talked about, this 7-speed automatic DCT is pretty slick, and it also has a walking mode, which helps you move the bike around your garage or whatnot. The double wishbone front suspension I just talked about is so smooth it just seems unreal. The model I tested, I believe, was 850 pounds. It could be just a little less. The models do vary somewhat by weight, but not a lot. I mean, you're talking a total of maybe 60, 70 pounds between every single model that they do. It wouldn't really be fair to talk about Goldwings without talking a little bit about their history. The Honda Goldwing was created in 1974, and initially were all built in Japan up until about 1980. The Goldwing has a long tradition of continued development and the king of the big cruiser market. One of the things that's most unique about the Honda Goldwing is that 6-cylinder engine, and it roars. It sounds more like a Porsche car than it does a motorcycle. And when you twist the throttle, something happens. You see published claims of up to 140 foot-pounds of torque and 120 horsepower, but you'll also see dyno testing at the rear wheel that shows more near 100 horsepower, maybe 110 foot-pounds of torque, which is probably pretty close. Either way, the Goldwing makes plenty of power, and not only is it one of the smoothest engines you're ever going to ride, it also has plenty of steam behind it. One of the things that impresses me most about the Goldwing is its smoothness. It really is out of this world. I just simply haven't ridden any motorcycles that eat up road the way this thing does. The instrumentation layout is as good as anything I've seen. The GPS display is better than anything that I've ridden. You take a look at that screen, it's large, it's clear, it's right in the middle of the display panel. Now, I'm not sure what the ride is like for the passenger on this bike, but if it's anything like the ride that the rider gets, I don't think you've got much to complain about. This is a bike that feels like you could sit on it literally all day long, and I guess a number of people do. Just after a short time running this bike up the freeway at freeway speeds, you understand exactly why it's so popular. It really is a pleasure to ride. We probably can hear fine just with the wind that's there, which is non-existent almost. I have to say that the bike is really, really smooth. Quiet. When you do put the power to it, I had it in tour mode, so it was what I'd say is less than inspiring acceleration, but I don't hear any rattling, I don't hear any clanking, which is pretty rare. It doesn't matter if you're driving a car or motorcycle, that on these kind of roads you're just going to hear noises. Kudos to Honda on the handling. Now you can see here, this road is really uneven, and watch that front cantilever work. It's pretty interesting. It's getting a workout, but what's transmitting to the rider is nothing but fluid motion. You know, you can see probably from the camera, we got a little bit of up and down going, but certainly far better than my own motorcycle, which is a lot stiffer suspended. Does accelerate quite well, and this is officially the longest first impression video I've ever made. The Goldwing DCT was worth it though. If I wasn't overbiked already, I'd be in line to get one. Well, that's all for today. Thanks for watching, ride safe, and we'll see you out there.